Hi there, and welcome to Chennai, in the far south of India. I was actually meant to be in Hyderabad today, but SriLankan cancelled my flight from there, and then, well, let's just say didn't make it too easy to rebook. Apparently, if you book a ticket on SriLankan on their website, from anywhere in India, you need to call the seemingly single-person ticket office in that city in India in order to get anything done. But that's fine, since this is the first of 2 flights on SriLankan, and it's really not the bread and butter of today's excursion. As part of my Roots and Hub series, I'm flying today to Dubai via Colombo, Colombo actually being my main focus. If you're unfamiliar, this is my current series retracing the Kangaroo route and a few others along the way, from Brisbane to London, via 33 flights in 30 days. Today's video is pretty straightforward, in that it'll be my traditional style of business class trip report, except perhaps for the fact that the airline tried to shut me down because of a quote-unquote silly YouTuber. In this video, I'll focus on the airline itself and save the Colombo and Double Sunrise route tidbits for the next one. Before we get into all that though, I'm Kevin, the Flip Flop Traveler. If there's one thing that I want you to know about my videos, it's that my opinions are honest and my own. If you'd like to know more about the channel and how I do things, scan the QR code or click the link in the description to learn more. Have a look around the channel. There are hundreds of airline and hotel reviews to enjoy. This nearly forbidden trip report begins now. Terminal 2, where we are now, just opened last year after 5 years of construction and provided a much-needed upgrade to the formerly capacity-strained airport, last year handling over 18 million passengers. As such, everything in the airport, from the first impressions outside, to the check-in hall, to the lounge, and the departure hall, does provide a fairly positive experience. But it is interesting to contrast this nice, but relatively normal terminal with the one that also just opened like 150 miles away in Bengaluru, which looks like it came out of a Disney movie. Check-in was easy. There were no lines, but I found it odd that there was no business class or priority line whatsoever. It could be said, shouldn't be said, but could be said that, well, there's only 12 business class seats on their narrow-body planes. Maybe they don't need it. But actually, this flight was meant to be operated by an A330. Most of the days it was operated by an A330. They have 18 business class seats, not to mention any elite One World flyers. But again, I was assisted quickly. As we soak in a few impressions and head up to the Travel Club Lounge, let's talk a bit about SriLankan and their somewhat wonky state of affairs over the past 10 years. SriLankan's predecessor, Air Lanka, was established in 1979 following the bankruptcy and government shutdown of Air Ceylon. Their early days were defined by regional flying and a very motley mix of aircraft, beginning with 2 707s from Singapore Airlines and 1 737 from Maersk. Within a few years, they'd retire their 707s when they began acquiring L-1011s from ANA and Air Canada. There are 2 Travel Club lounges located right next to each other. The first one that you'll pass is for credit card and membership holders, and the second one at the far end of the hall is for premium cabin and elite passengers. The lounge, frankly like many of the newer lounges in Indian airports that I've seen as of late, is impressive for a contract lounge and offers a wide selection of seating options as well as food and drink. For the next 20 years or so, they continued their regional thing and had aspirations for European routes, and at the time flew 747s and A340s. In 1998, the government sought to sell a minority stake in the airline, and Emirates was the buyer, with a 40% stake. As part of the deal, Emirates and at the time Air Lanka entered into a 10-year strategic agreement. This deal, which put Emirates in the managerial position, brought sweeping changes to the airline, including their rebranding to SriLankan Airlines. Their fleet and route map expanded considerably in that decade. 10 years later, in 2008 though, Emirates announced that they would not renew the contract, citing that the government was overreaching when it came to daily operations. Emirates sold its stake back to the government. Let's just say, things didn't go spectacularly well from that point. For context, the airline enjoyed a 31 million USD profit in 2008. Between 2009 and 2015, the airline lost $875 million. After Emirates' exit and emerging from civil war, the government simply didn't have the means or the will to maintain standards, and the airline kind of bounced from one incident to the next, perhaps accumulating with the fuel crisis in 2022. Due to fuel shortages on the island, nearly all flights inbound to Sri Lanka would stop in southern India to refuel before continuing on to Colombo, That way, the aircraft would have fuel for its next flight out of Colombo. That tumultuous period aside, I was approaching today's flight with a little bit of hope for a well-rounded mid-market product, given the fact that in the 2022-23 fiscal year, the airline actually achieved its first post-Emirates profit. They currently have a fleet of 22 aircraft, with no additional aircraft on order, serving 37 destinations in 21 countries, 14 of those destinations being in India, which is the most for any non-Indian carrier. A general boarding call was announced around 5 minutes ahead of schedule. I went up, showed my boarding pass, and was pulled out of line and asked to wait right here. I waited there for reasons that I really didn't understand besides the fact that I was in business. After half the plane boarded, I decided to just get back in line and went through. I hate getting on the plane last, filming or not. I have a routine, I'd like to get settled. As we head down the jet bridge, let's take a look at today's flight stats. If you're enjoying the video, please go ahead and click that like button. All of my videos are self-funded, so clicking that like button and subscribing really does support the channel. If you're looking for lots more information about my travel in general, weekly posts, advanced itineraries, travel advice, and the like, I'd invite you to check out my Patreon or YouTube channel memberships. As I stepped on board, in what I can only describe as the most Sri Lankan RP accent that I've ever heard, quote, "Sir, you mustn't film." It was said in the kind of accent where you get the feeling that they're both disappointed in humanity for having to say it, and physically exhausted for expelling the energy to say it. In that moment, I did stop filming, I went to my seat, and I just did my extra discreet style of filming of just what I could see from my seat, absolutely ensuring no other passengers were in the shot. I'll note that this was not to hide it from the crew, but just to respect people's privacy, which I presumed was the purpose of the comment to me. In the 240 flights that I've flown for this channel so far, this is the second time that I've heard such a thing. I was again shut down. I simply asked, what about my personal experience am I allowed to film? Nothing, sir. So you mean it's forbidden to take a photo of my meal when it comes? Yes, sir. At that point, I pulled a card that I've never actually pulled before, and I asked, where is this stated? She told me it's in the contract of carriage, which is very ironic, because in my ordeal to change my flights from Hyderabad, I actually did in fact read that in its entirety. She brought around pre-departure beverages, and I just tried to level with her. Look, I respect that you want your privacy maintained, but we both know that it's not in the contract of carriage. So can we just agree that I can just document my own very personal experience? If you'd like to inspect my photos I take for any crew or passenger identity on board, I'm happy to allow you to do so at the end of the flight. She agreed and explained the policy had been communicated to them in a company memo, quote unquote, because of some silly YouTuber video. Oh, okay. I do love the irony here. Had she not said anything, this would have been an entirely positive experience so far. Anyway, as surely you can see, the seat is a standard 2x2 recliner business class style, which is a little bit worn around the edges, but nothing serious. And frankly, better than I was expecting, with an endless amount of legroom, power ports, and an in-flight entertainment monitor. The crew came around to the 6 of us in business class and deployed our monitors for the safety video shortly after we pushed back. Menus were also passed out just before that. We were nearly 20 minutes ahead of schedule already, which was a very nice surprise, very rare. We had a quick taxi to the runway and lined up for an Eastern takeoff. The Spool Up, beautiful takeoff, and airport stats are coming up next. Comfort items on board were limited to a somewhat floppy pillow, but no complaints for just a 60-minute flight. Very soon after that, as we followed the coastline south, our meal service began. There were 4 options, which is pretty impressive for such a short flight, and I chose the chicken biryani, which came with chana dal, tempered potato, fried shallots, and curry leaves. On the side was garlic bread and what was listed as creme brulee, but it was unbruleed, so I suppose today just jellied cream. The main dish was delicious at a 9 out of 10. The dessert, maybe a 5. Shout out to airlines who use small bottles instead of cans. I so prefer this since I can close it up and not feel like I need to chug everything every time turbulence comes. I'm not at all a tea drinker, but this being Sri Lankan and all, I finished off with a ginger Ceylon black tea, which was actually very nice. Entertainment on board was limited to just 10 movies plus a few shows and at least a working moving map. The headphones were a bit cheap and clunky, but fine for a short flight. The bathroom was impressively clean, and I honestly think it had more products on offer than any other narrow-body bathroom I've ever been in. The first sights of Sri Lanka came into view just a few minutes after the meal tray was collected, and we began our descent. I'll let you enjoy the landscapes and landing. The airport stats are coming up. So, Sri Lankan, would I fly them again? Sure. The lack of priority at the airport and the silly YouTuber stuff aside, it was a pleasant and short flight. After the initial back and forth that I had with the flight attendant, the service did become markedly more pleasant. At one point though, she did ask me if I was a quote-unquote blogger. And hinging on the technical definition, I proudly stated, no, I am not a blogger. I don't write reviews. I film them. Those last 3 words I may have left out. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please be sure to click the like button and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. I'll see you next time from the spectacular Phulay Bay, a Ritz-Carlton reserve in Krabi, Thailand. Oh, and as always, thanks for watching until the end.